Hello, and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa FM. My name is Amichana. We're now in the Senate with this morning go into an executive session. Executive session means it's only them and few of the clerical staff that will be around. The public, those in the gallery, journalists will be shut out. And the reason is to consider provisions of the Electoral Act that were slated for amendment. And I don't know why the Senate would choose to go into an executive session for that. The law is not for them, it's for the Nigerian public. If there's any concern therein, they should raise it publicly for Nigerians to address it. If you take a look at parliaments across the world, they rarely go into executive session. But in Nigeria, another name for our parliament has become executive session. If they believe there are some things they don't want the citizens to know, they quickly go into executive session. Also, executive sessions are strictly for top security issues that are of utmost importance. But here, they have reduced parliamentary sessions to executive sessions. So, can someone remind them that they are not a secret society? They were elected from the people, so they are not beasts in the deep forest. They can't distance themselves from the people. There were protests yesterday at the National Assembly, civil society groups going to remind the National Assembly members to do the work they are being paid for. They are paid billions of naira per annum of taxpayers' money to work, and civil society organizations felt they have been dilly-dallying with this Electoral Act amendment, and so they went there to put pressures on them. Adebayo Boduri, Kula Dewale, and Bulo Semuagu are on the program today.
Thank you, Amishi, and good morning to my colleagues in the studio. Good morning to our listeners out there. I say you hit the nail on the head. Executive sessions and became institutionalized since 1995. And when you don't want citizens to know, go to executive session. Sometimes you kill a lot of bills. Sometimes at the end of the day, they refine the bills and they come up with so many things to justify why they must consult. What are they doing before plenary that they cannot consult? That is during the period of plenary that they have to go into secret sessions. That's where I will look at it.
Yes, secret court session. The House did not go into that secret session. They just considered, voted and passed.
The voted yesterday, if you look at it, the concern, they should be applauded. They should be praised. And I applaud and praise them in my own case. And I all ask for that to do. Because by next month, January is ending in the 48 hours from now. January will say bye bye, we enter February. And that's INEC, the first electoral body in the country, is mandated to unveil the electoral timetable of the election. 1 year ahead. That is enough. So if they have to do that, then we have witnessed that situation in the past, where laws were passed, and at the end of the day, it became meaningless because they said you are taking my time. So we now go back using the old law, the same law where we have discovered inaccuracies. And if those inaccuracies are not cured, they are capable of plunging the nation into crisis. Because protest over electoral matter is not just a protest that you can just wave the wave of hand. There are crises. There are electoral crisis is a major crisis that we must start as much as possible to avoid if this democracy has to be sustained.
Okay.
And so if inaccuracies have been discovered in a law, and we are trying to, steps are being taken to ensure that those things do not happen. We are talking of IREF, and everybody's applauding it. As of today, IREF does not have legal backing. So why does it take up to this period, up to this moment? In the last 2 years, both the Senate and House of Reps set up committees on constitutional review and constitutional amendment and electoral review. And it's at this last minute that they are today they are going to hold the executive session.
No, I call it secret court session.
After 2 years, when the committee start and they move around the country, spending huge sums of money in holding public hearing and all the rest, and they came with the report. And then it now became difficult for them to pass it to law. I think it's a disservice to the nation.
Well, good morning, Richie. Good morning to colleagues in the studio and, of course, to all our listeners across the Well, it is, to say the least, very disheartening. We had the last general election in 2023, and it is now, on the eve of the next election, that we are seeing this flurry of action by the National Assembly. Good enough, the House passed that bill before they went on recess, and now it's the Senate. I'm asking, is this a concerted effort to ensure that we conduct the 2027 election using the Electoral Act?
I agree with you. Is a concerted effort to stop and frustrate the amendment of the Electoral Act by the Senate. That's why they're going into a secret session. That's the agenda.
Talking about the secret session, Amici, I think that the National Assembly needs to have a very serious rethink about this issue. One, they are representatives of the people. If you are representing our interests, why are you holding executive session? What are you doing between the time when you are not sitting? You sit Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What happens between Friday and Monday that you cannot consult among yourselves?
Yes.
You can do that via Zoom or any other electronic means if you can't congregate in the same place. Distance is no longer a problem. 2020 taught us that after COVID-19. So the National Assembly must realize that the reason they are called the National Assembly is because they are representatives of Nigerians in government. It is a way for Nigerians to have a say in how they are governed. Executive sessions don't cut it. I frown at it. Adebayo frowns at it. You frown at it. Nigerians frown at it. It's not a court. They must conduct legislative business in the open. And that's why we have always said that the National Assembly TV is something that should be transmitted to everybody so that we can watch the proceedings live. We don't have to come to the chambers. It's important because that's access to information.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, dear listener. National Assembly. Assembly, by simple understanding, is that where you have different shades of people, different opinions coming together. Farmers, teachers, doctors, representing these sectors of people to push for the betterment of the country. Have the National Assembly, have they failed us in this regard concerning the electoral reforms and constitutional amendments? I don't want to be pessimistic about this electoral reform. I don't think it will hold water because it's barely 1 year to 2026. Because Prime Minister just said
2027.
2027, I mean, just said it's 48 hours to the end of January. And if you count from February, it's 11 months to 2027. A good politician will tell you that they start planning the next election the day they were sworn in, sworn into office. The Nigerians start early to plan the amendment of the Electoral Act. If we start early, the constitutional amendment process. Yes, we started early, but what happened in between? And the first year, 2023, 2024, the process was started. But how comes up to now, 2026, we are still talking about having executive session? But my own concern is the issues that we are looking forward to be amended. The protest yesterday, they highlighted special seats for women. Remember in 2022, 2021, 2022, there was a lot of clamor by civil society for not too young to run, not too young to run bill, not too young to run. Yes, not too young to run eventually was passed into law. But how many young persons succeeded in contesting and winning elections? Older persons pushed them away. Now we have another session where civil society are pushing for special seats for women and IRF to be amended, the Electoral Act on IRF to be amended. Will this pull through? And if eventually it pulls through, for example, special seats for women, will our politicians allow women to occupy those seats? So these are big questions waiting for answers. Well, elective session, only God knows what they want to discuss. Maybe they want to discuss which positions will women hold when they get special seats for women. I know in Kogi State, for example, they say all vice chairmen of local government should be women. I know in River State, Wike tried to ensure that women are coming as deputy governors and vice chairman of local government. So maybe that's what they want to discuss in the executive session. I don't know. But all of us have said such secret sessions are not good for a democracy that is growing. Let the people know. Come out. Don't be there of a stamp that they tagged you to be at the National Assembly. Let people know what you are discussing, not secret sessions all the time. As Amici said, it's secret session, they don't use executive to cover it. Executive session of National Assembly. I think they should rethink that. Let us see what you are, hear what you are discussing. It makes us trust you more as our representative.
I think for me, the Senate said they will not disappoint Nigerians. The only thing they can do not to disappoint Nigerians is to sit openly today and pass the Electoral Act Amendment bill so that they can have reconcile with the House, and then the bill can be forwarded to the President before INEC unveil timetable for 2027 election.
But what is secret? What is secret about whether Nigeria should use IREF to transmit results and put it inside the Electoral Act? What is secret about all the reforms that were proposed? What is secret about all the provisions in the proposed amendment by the House of Representatives? What is secret there? Is the Senate trying to lobby or negotiate with the executive or whatever? I don't see anything secret here. Do they understand the reason why they were sent there? This is not their personal business. This is national duty. Like you said, they were sent there to represent people. And the Constitution is very clear on the way and procedure they should do it. So turning this all-important process into an executive session leaves room for speculation. And I'm speculating here that the reason why they are planning to do it is that they want to doctor the Electoral Act. They want to negotiate to protect their selfish interests and make sure that public interest is undermined. If I'm lying, let them throw open that session so that we'll be convinced that that was not their goal.
Just why most Black African countries remain underdeveloped, remain the way we have been for many years after independence, is because politicians go into that executive session or whatever they call it and tilt laws to favor them at the moment, not looking at the wider picture, not looking at the future of their children. What will benefit them at the moment is what they go in there to discuss. So that is why we have remained. Somebody say we march to Ngom for Africa. We're not growing, we're not developing, we're not moving.
Okay.
Amechi, quickly, we should understand that the election, every single Nigerian who is above the age of 18 is a stakeholder in the general election. And the National Assembly cannot treat it as a matter of executive session. Now, even if this bill is passed today, they have to harmonize it. After it is harmonized, clerical work has to be done by the clerk of the National Assembly before it is transmitted to the president. By the time it gets to the presidency, the president wants to read it. He probably will minute it to the Attorney General of the Federation and ask him to advise. That's the job of the Attorney General of the Federation, to advise the president on things like this. That takes time too. What that means is that if it is signed into law, it will upset the apple cart completely. Because if you go by what the House of Reps has passed already, the bill the House of Reps has passed, it means that elections must hold in November of 2026. Where is it? It will upset everything for the security agencies. It will upset everything for the judiciary. Upset everything for INEC, for even NURTW that provides the logistics to move stuff, electoral materials from INEC offices nationwide to the different polling centers. The question really is, why did we wait until this late before expediting action on that amendment bill?
Well, part of the reason they gave for delaying consideration of the passage of the bill, or consideration for passage yesterday, was that senators did not have copies. And I said,
excuse me,
all this one, I didn't have copies. It just came up on Wednesday, and suddenly, all of a sudden, you discover that there are no copies. So
and then the chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters alone was absent.
He was missing in action. Deliberately or not deliberately, we don't know.
The idea of putting the election in November. I think they are still sticking to February.
Okay,
so the House of Reps.
So what they did yesterday was to circulate. They said they will circulate the bills before members, senators, so that they'll go home and consider.
After how? Why were
Bills
they,
that we have
why were they
been
not?
considering since July 2025. Those in the Senate that are doing the job suddenly claimed they don't have it and all that. But let's quickly remind you that this program is live on YouTube at Repa Abuja. And we have a number of listeners and viewers joining. We'll share some of the comments that I'm making now. Like Fauntino Flopenti. I just joined now, watching now. Mikayo 1234. Wonderful being here today. You know one thing about Nigeria's social media, the names that people here sign up to it quite interesting.
Okay, Fountain of Hope International, actually, that's the name.
Oh, Fountain of Hope International. Yeah. Okay, that's an organization. It should be an organization.
Yes.
And okay, and not Jonathan. And not Jonathan says, I've been listening to political platform for over 10 years. How come? I'm just discovering that they are on YouTube. I don't think they publicize or advertise that they go live on YouTube. Well, we'll do more to advertise, and we are doing that. And we are seeing new people join so that they will see, at least you can see my gray hairs. I'm also seeing it now as I watch the laptop. I didn't know the back of my hair is this gray. I know that. Quite interesting. Okay, let's go for a break. Okay, Richard is there. Richard, come up and take us through the mail. We don't have break today. We just approach the microphone. Go take us through the mails, and when we come back, more reports and analysis.
Good morning, Nigerians. You are now listening to the new segment on political platform. I am Aricha GT. First name coming from Anita Mikia, writing from Sangota, Ogun State. Says, as National Assembly resumes active break, it is important for them to focus on giving Nigerians a new electoral amendment bill and must be signed by the president, put to use in the 2027 election. Let's promote strong institutions and not strong individuals. Ultimately, the pattern suggests that a person must be a member of a political party for at least 30 days before qualifying to contest the election under the platform, among others, must be upheld and made sacrosanct. The National Assembly must stop being selfish, rather must join hands to protect our hard-earned democracy. Enough is enough. Emeka Mbaraiti from Abuja said, Senate President Godswill Akpabio Yatinari, what looks to me as poorly scripted attempt at damage control and fake saving, so berated Nigerians that the gazetted tax laws was the same as what the lawmakers passed. Even when House of Representatives Committee and other lawmakers like Senator Ali Ndume, etc., who critically studied and analyzed the gazetted tax document, confirmed to the public that the past tax laws was altered as the gazetted ones contained discrepancies. The Senate President went ahead to insult our collective intelligence, further by submitting that there was a fake tax laws document in circulation. And I asked, fake tax law document circulating in National Assembly or in the public? Who introduced a fake document and to what purpose? It is indeed a shame, and we should be worried that some members of the National Assembly, who we trust with making laws that will guide the country to survival greatness, don't have the sincerity of purpose and don't even know why they're there in the first place. And to think this category of so-called lawmakers are led by the Senate President, the Chairman of the National Assembly, is scary. I think these tax laws, bill should be thoroughly investigated, and those found culpable dealt with decisively, no matter how high. Dixon Ekara from Abuja says, the harsh economic policies of the Tinubu administration is not just suffocating the poor, but it's killing many businesses, throwing the medium and average people down to poverty, making the poor poorer, and eliminating the poor ultimately. The so-called tax exemption does not exist because those that are said to be exempted from the harsh tax regime are the ones really paying the tax, because every tax is paid by the end user, and the end user are the medium class and the poor. The targeted rich are the manufacturers and distributors. So the rich add to their price multiple times of what the government is taxing them. So they are not affected by the shocks of the new taxes. Since January 1st, when the new tax regime started, cement price has gone up twice And now there is a surge in fuel prices heading towards 1,000 naira per liter. President Tinubu and his team should have mercy on the ordinary Nigerians that voted them into power so that they can at least feed and breathe. The first tenure, if the first tenure is this bad and cruel, I don't know how people will survive the second tenure in office. Finally, Nobu Collins, writing from Abuja, said, a thought-provoking post by former Kaduna Central Senator Shehu Sani, which I came across yesterday, starts my today's reflection in this letter. The post shared the story of Yakubu Muhammad, his SS1 student in Borno State, who confronted a 2017 suicide bomber, preventing access to a crowd and lost his life in the process. This raises the question, verified, why didn't the political reps from that area lobby for Yakubu's national recognition as a hero? Shouldn't that be the kind of lobbying that resonates with the masses? And seriously, the councillors, assembly members, House of Representative members, and senators in the Nigerian version of democracy even understand what their obligations to the people they represent. Similarly, the recent political unfolding in Rivers State between Governor Fubara and Rivers State House of Assembly members, which reviewed 350 million naira allegedly given to each assembly member for community projects, which would have been possibly kept a secret anyway, if not for the dimension of their rift took in recent times. What another case of accountability to the masses not yet addressed. However, that notwithstanding, I still strongly believe that a real democratic Nigeria is possible if the masses emancipate themselves from sentimental psychophancy. Indeed, that is all we can take on your mails today. Keep sending your mails with your name and where you are writing from the political platform at dagu.com. Don't forget to watch political platform on YouTube on Way Power 100.5 FM.
Thank you so much for the mails. We have so many comments on our YouTube channel. Oga Justice 1632. I'm really happy that the platform is now live on YouTube. I've always wanted to come back to listen to episodes when I'm not available by the time the program runs. Okay. Odu Olubem. This one is too long. Ulubenga Joami Ojuwami. Why is it that all the grammar we have been dispensing in the name of analyzing Nigeria's problem has been into deaf ears of the so-called rulers as they remain incorrigible? They are not. And we always tell our listeners and viewers now, they listen. Just like you, they dub and go back and analyze. So we don't give up. We'll keep talking. Talk is cheap. And for us, it's even cheaper. So we'll continue talking, and we have credible evidence that this program did influence the change of public policies and have also shaped public policies. The Senate president said the tax laws were not doctored, that there are fake versions outside there. And just our friend in the Emabong is the National Public Secretary of the PDP. He's to join me on a sister station program, Focus Nigeria, but he came in earlier and he joins us on political platform. Thank you so much, Ini, for joining us. Let's drag you into what we didn't plan to do.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. You drew my attention to your gray hair. The last time I saw you, you weren't like this.
Yes.
Is it reflective of the economy?
It's the problem of Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria on my head. And it's
So I
reflective.
think it's one of the fortunate Nigerians that have gray hair very early, and there are very few of them in the country. Very soon, it's beard will also
Ini, what's happening to the PDP? Is the PDP still a party to be reckoned with?
Absolutely. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be asking. Because the fact that you know that the party that ruled for 16 years, the party that we must admit went down the slope. And for me, I see it as a natural form of life. You know, if you even see, nature has no straight line. Nature takes you up, you then you come down, then you rest. More importantly, is the fact that when you're going down, you must appreciate the fact that you won't stop. And the journey of communicators is really intentional. Else you're going to recline again. So we reached the rock bottom of where we can get.
End of a man is not the end of it. The downfall of a man is not the end of his life.
So we've gotten to the rock bottom and we're heading back up.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
We've gotten to
There
the
are so many people who have this impression. I think PDP as of today is in ICU,
Intensive care unit.
intensive care unit, and it needs to be nurtured before it can even bounce back. And then also impressions of there are group within your party that would have the party must be brought down for selfish political interests of the group. So in the midst of all this, how are then the court battles that are still going in? How are you sure, or what are you, how optimistic are you that truly will bounce back?
You know, perception and reality usually have divergence.
Yeah.
But sometimes reality shapes perception, perceptions eventually influences reality. But the truth is that what is real is that PDP is still the party that gives the ruling party foundation, which is why you can appreciate the humongous resources.
Palpitations when they were denied promises that we are to hold PDP down for the APC.
No, hold on. That's why, I mean, that is why you can see it is when your enemy gauges and understands the fact that if you stand, you can. And that is why he tries to keep you down. Clearly, people don't fight people who don't have anything to do. The amount of opposition you receive is indicative of the fear in your opponent. When you're preparing, if you're a black belt and you're preparing to fight a white belt, you don't lose sleep. You wake up from your sleep. In fact, while you're sleeping, you ask them, is he ready? But when you're fighting a fellow black belter whom you know, you prepare days ahead. And so if you look at the resources, human and material, that have been invested in taking down the PDP and keeping it down, and even the caliber of meetings where people have made promises to the president. I mean, the president doesn't sit over meetings. So we've not heard that happen to any other party. He now commits powerful people to say, please go and hold it for me, and they also feedback. But what is there is that the party is going through a rebirth. We must admit that yes, today external factors are now responsible for the things that are happening, but we must also admit that the internal factors that have happened.
Rebate, that's if the appeal court of appeal, the Supreme Court agrees that the Ibadan Convention was legitimate.
Not to worry about that, so that you don't get into a matter that is solved to this. At least your wife will be fine in a prison, turn brown. so let me not help.
I've been there before, so no, but it's not sub judice. I'm not asking you to comment on the court case. I'm making this statement of this. I'm throwing this wisdom based on the fact that you're so optimistic.
Yeah,
I'm just reminding you that there are court cases.
In trying to answer that, we may have to go into the facts of the
no, it's not.
Let me quickly ask you. I don't believe that you don't have gray hair. You never can say. You know, you see the left understand. The PDP has been beating blue, black, and white now, and that they are so depleted that they cannot even produce a local government candidate. Amak is coming up in February. The PDP does not even have
in Rivers,
in FCT, FCT local government council elections coming up in February. And the PDP has been so beaten that they cannot even present a local government candidate for election. How true is it?
No, that's false. And the fact that you live in Abuja should say that. Okay, so I can assume that the guy has kept all of you in the studio that you don't know what's happening right outside. Because our candidates are doing their campaigns. I mean, there's no denying the fact that we have challenges. Denying that we'll be living in King's paradise. But what you can't also deny is the fact that in the last 2 months under the Tinubu administration, that even you have felt a new breath of air coming. How much that air is able to re-energize the platform is what is there. And like I said, when people say, I see you, some have said, oh, it is dead. And the question we ask, if it is dead, why are you struggling the cops? It means that you know that these cops can still do sufficient harm to you. So what is there is that as we are done, and I know that in the next 3-4 weeks, all of the issues that the Court of Appeal, with the way my lords are handling matters, you know, they will Lagos to sort out. There are a lot of backlogs of ripe appeals out there. So in the next 3-4 weeks, issues at the Court of Appeal will be terminated, and so whoever chooses may now go finally upstairs to the Supreme Court. And I mean, because it's also about the survival of my lords and the Supreme Court, we pay very particular attention. So meaning that Q1, by God's grace, all of this will have been over. When this is over, the question that we'll be asking will be, and Nigerians are, so I've listened to all the things you've read, and you clearly see that Nigerians are dissatisfied with the status quo.
And so the provision of an alternative with sufficient capacity. Remember that the PDP is the only party that has sufficient roots every single place in Nigeria. Because not just in the 16 years of our leadership, but in the manner with which our party was formed. Okay, I will have to thank you so much, Inni Ememobong, the National Public Secretary of the PDP, for joining us today. One for the road, Adeba Abodu.
Yeah, this letter from Collins is very, very encouraging. After his lamentation and complaints, he ended with this statement: a real democratic Nigeria is possible.
Yes.
And I share in that, and I hope all Nigerians to share in it, and to ensure that whatever we are going through now, that we overcome.
That's Obi's slogan. And are you obedient now? Because he wrote PO in the possible in caps.
No,
that's obedient.
Well, no, the statement is one of our
okay. I don't know about is struggling to explicate himself. That is not an obedient. You're not. Just pulling your legs. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Amici, and we have a good time.